Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Crafternoon Tea. So today I'm going to show you how to turn a paper plate into a dream catcher. So what we need to do first of all is we've got our string, we've got a little bit of coloured paper that will go for the base. If you've got some beads you can use those as well. I've got a needle, hopefully this will thread through, but if it doesn't we will find another way. Might be a bit thick with our string, but that's fine, we can do it another way, and some scissors. So what we're going to do, and I've got a hole punch as well to punch the holes. So what we need to do first of all is we need to cut the middle out of our plate. So I'm going to use my scissors very carefully and I'm going to pop a hole like so. I'm going to get my scissors in the middle then, and I'm going to use the natural bit of this plate to cut out, so that will be my centre. It's a bit hard to begin with, but once you get your first bit going, it gets much easier. So we're just cutting out the middle of the plate at the moment, and we'll discard of that because we won't need it. It's a bit tricky, but we'll get there. If you've got a little Stanley knife, that might be easier, or a little scalpel, but this is how you do it, just with some scissors. Don't worry too much because the inside of your plate is going to be the back bit. There we go. So I've cut the hole now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some holes, and we're going to need to punch them. So I'm going to go top and bottom, equal sides, and then I'm going to do 2 holes. So I've got my top and my bottom, I've got my side, and I've done 2 holes there. So that should be, do 2 holes in each section like so. It doesn't have to be exact because this is where we're going to weave. And then we will also need 3 little holes at the bottom, but we'll do those after. So I've drawn my little holes out. You don't need to do this, you can do it freehand. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and get the hole punch in there, because it will be easier to get a nice punched hole. Perfect, so I've got my first little hole. Doesn't matter that it's close to the rim of the... And I'm just going to go around and do this to all the holes that I'd planned. You can rub them out if they're not exactly where you thought they were going to be. It's quite hard to figure out where your hole punch is going to punch the holes. There we go, so you can see I've missed my little drawings, but that's fine, I can rub them out. But that is my holes already pre-punched. Now I might not even need the needle actually on further inspection. But I'm just going to rub out my little lines just so that it doesn't ruin it. You can paint this plate, you can make it a different colour if you like. I'm going to stick with white for now, just for time, just to show you the basics of how you do it. Okay, so now we're going to get our string and we're going to thread it through. So I'm going to come from behind first of all. We're going to pull it, actually let's go this way. It's a bit of trial and error to begin with, so actually it's probably best to go the other way. So let's pull a big bit of string off. And what we're going to do is we're going to come through from this direction, and you're just going to pick another. So I'm going to put it all the way through. So your string will be long to begin with. I'm going to cut it off there, and I'm going to knot it. So I'm going to give it a knot so it doesn't pull through and it all holds into place. Okay, so I've got my first one in place. For the first one, I'm going to go directly opposite to the bottom. There we go, so that's our first one. Now I'm just going to pick another random one to go through, perhaps this one. Oh, it's a bit fiddly. And I'm going to pull my string through. Okay, so we're just going to go and do this a few times round. Pick different spots. Where should we go next? Let's go up here. Because you want it to be quite crisscross and messy. You don't want it to be all structured. If you've got coloured bits of yarn at home, you could use that. It's entirely up to you. So you can already see we're starting to get different shapes coming through now. So let's go to this one. Ooh. Try and keep your string quite tight, but not too tight, because remember it's a paper plate and it'll probably rip if you pull too hard. So if you had some beads, you could add some beads in here if you wanted to. Let's go down here actually. Perfect. So we've sort of done this crisscrossing technique all the way through. Just pulling it now just to try and keep it. So we've got our sort of base of our dream catcher. You know, you can go again, you could go through all different ways, it's entirely up to you. But I want to keep mine quite rustic. So this will be how my dream catcher looks. So again, I'm going to knot this off. I'm going to cut it so I don't have a big bit trailing. Okay. So we've now got our dream catcher base. Pick which side up you want it to be, you know, it's entirely up to you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, which one should I choose? I'm going to choose here. So now we need to put our 3 dots here, because what we're going to do is have some hanging strings. So I'm going to put my first hole there, my second hole there, and my third hole there. So I've got my 3 holes at the bottom, as you can see. And what I'm going to do now is I've got my coloured bits of paper, and I'm going to draw a sort of feathery shape. Just the outline for now. Okay, so when I cut it out, I'll show you how it's starting to look. So that's the base of our sort of leafy feather. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut little slits to give it that feather texture. So I'm just slitting it all the way around. And I'm going to go back and do it the other way as well. So you start to get some nice texture to your feathers. Like so. Okay, I'm going to fold it in half just to give it the middle bit, the middle stretch as well. So again, it's giving it a bit more of a leaf look. So I'm going to punch a hole in the top of this. So I've got my hole ready to go. I've actually accidentally cut a bit of the slip, but we should be able to still use that. So I'm now going to use, I could use this bit actually, my leftover. I'm going to thread it through, knot it on the back again. So we'll have a bit hanging down here. Okay, so then I'm going to thread and connect it. See where I've cut it by accident there, so just be conscious not to cut too close to the top, but that's fine, I'll just make another one. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to add my other 3 bits of string, make them a bit longer this time. The good thing is if you make a mistake you can just undo it. Or you can glue them on, you don't have to tie them. So let's again, we're going to tie on the back, so then it won't come through. So I've got my string like so. And actually I might want to make it shorter, so that the one in the middle is my longest one. So again, lastly, thread it through, flip it over, put a little knot in. And we've got our 3 strings ready to go to hang our feathers on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to draw my feather again. I'm going to discard that one, absolutely fine. I'm going to cut this. So we have 2 greens and a pink, I think. So as you can see, I'll have my first one there. My second one, and then we will have a third one. Perfect, so you can see we've got our 3 feathers and the top of our dream catcher. So this time round I'm going to place the hole first. Doesn't matter, it's a bit off centre, but that's fine. And I'm going to thread through just like so, and again tie my little knot on the back. So I'm going to do that for all 3 of the feathers. Thread it through from the top, turn it over and tie a little knot. And lastly, so when I hold it up, the weight of that will give me my feathers. So I'm just going to cut the feather in bit. So I'm going to turn it up towards me, and I'm just going to give the detail again to the feathers. last one. Perfect. And there we have it. We have our paper plate dreamcatcher. So add some designs to it and get creative, you know, do some drawing and add your felt tip pens or paint it, or it's entirely up to you. You can add some beads in between, but there we have one dreamcatcher from a paper plate, a bit of string and some pieces of paper or card. Enjoy and see you next week for another Crafternoon Tea. Bye for now.